So I think it's important. So what I'm going to do in a little time we have left is kind of hit the planning of what you really need to consider. Some of the stuff that happened back in 2010, you probably need to be aware of it, but primarily what are we going to do now? I've had a bunch of meetings with clients. The same questions keep coming up, so I thought I'd share that with you and the solutions that we came up with. Okay, in 2010, you know, the gift tax exemption was still $1 million, so we didn't have that $5 million exemption, but we got that low 35% rate. The GST exemption went up to $5 million with a 0% rate. So the planning that was being done back in 2010 were GST type transfers, direct transfers to cause a tax and pay at a 0 rate, and the making direct GST transfers to grandchildren and lower generation, making distributions from trusts to grandchildren that would be considered taxable distributions, and also transfers were done, and I was involved with one of them at the end of the year after the 2010 Tax Act was passed, a transfer in further trust with you limit the beneficiaries to the lowest generation beneficiaries who were in the original trust, and the goal was to take the transfer for GST tax purposes down a generation or two, so that before you did the transfer, when the old generation died, there would have been a GST tax on all the assets. If you move the generation down, when the generation dies, there wouldn't be a generation skipping tax. And the transaction we were involved with saved millions of dollars. And so you may end up seeing that. If you weren't involved with those, there weren't that many of them. But you may end up seeing those down the road, so it's nice to be aware of what they were. So what are the issues that are out there? Number one, if you had, a lot of people have ILITs, GST trust or non-GST trust, that could have benefited grandchildren and lower generation. So the question was, say you had life insurance policy and an ILIT. The question was, should you make a gift to that trust last year before the act? And the answer was, for most people, no, don't make a gift if you intend to be GST exempt, because we didn't know what the rules were going to be, and it could have been a nightmare from a tax perspective. And so what we had recommended to our clients was if you didn't have assets already in the trust, to make the insurance premium payments, then make a loan to the trust. So after the 2010 Tax Act happened, we basically told our clients, repay the loans, say the loan was a gift, or in 2011 or after, you can make other gifts to the trust, they can pay the loans back, but you can go ahead and clear those off the books. That's number one. Number two is, and I did not have any of these in my practice, but some people wanted to lock in. I recommended this to a lot of people, we didn't get any done. Make very large gifts before the 2010 Tax Act happened in order to lock in the 35% gift tax rate. And just so you know, because we're going to be repeating this, the 35% gift tax rate is even better than it looks, because if you pay a gift tax, you don't pay gift tax or estate tax on the gift if you live 3 years. So the effective equivalent estate tax rate, if you pay gift tax, is about 26%. So normally you would pay estate tax at 55%, and for the very wealthy, 10 million and up, it would have been 60%. You could pay effectively at 26%. So a lot of people were, especially the wealthier, being advised, go ahead and make a big gift. Some of those people may have had what I call gifter's remorse after the 2010 Tax Act, and they want to get rid of that gift and get it back. They're all very specific, very factual determination as to what you would do in that case. My recommendation is leave it alone, but if they don't, you may have to go, there may be some way to get that transaction undone or modified in some way to make them happy again. Let's see. Also, the last one is anyone who did one of these GST transfers that were supposed to be taxable in order to get that 0% tax rate, you've got to make sure that you file a timely, that's the key, gift tax return, and elect not to allocate GST exemption to that transfer. Otherwise, you would have wasted the transfer, the exemption. You want to be taxable and pay a 0% rate. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. That's 2010.